The 21st century will create a new massive class of useless people, the useless class. And maybe much of the social and political history of the 21st century will revolve around the problems and the hopes and the fears of this new massive useless class. But it is a very serious possibility that you will find hundreds of millions of people being pushed out of the job market and losing their economic and their political power because there is nothing that they can do better than an AI. We are already seeing this process happening in the military, whereas in the 20th century, the most advanced military forces in the world relied on recruiting millions and millions of soldiers, of ordinary people, to serve as soldiers in the army. And this made all these people vital for the state. So even totalitarian regimes like Nazi Germany invested in the health, in the education, in the welfare of millions of poor Germans, because Hitler knew and the Nazi elite knew that if we want Germany to be a strong nation with a strong army and a strong economy, we need all these millions to serve as soldiers in the army and as workers in the factories. We need them. And now in the early 21st century, in the military it's over. You don't need the millions of people to serve as soldiers in the army. The most advanced armies rely on relatively small numbers of very professional super warriors and more on advanced technology, such as drones and cyber worms and so forth. And the same process may begin to happen in the civilian economy as well. We are now reaching the limits of what we know are human abilities in a way which was not true in the 19th century or in the 20th century. Homo sapiens, as far as science is concerned, has basically two kinds of abilities: physical bodily abilities and cognitive abilities. In the Industrial Revolution, machines replaced humans more and more in jobs that required mainly physical abilities, and then humans moved to working in new jobs that required mainly cognitive abilities. Now what is happening is that computers and artificial intelligence are starting to compete with us in these cognitive abilities, and we don't know about any third kind of field of ability that we can, okay, let's leave the cognitive things to the computers and we'll do something else. There is no something else. I mean, one suggestion is emotional abilities, emotional intelligence. But the problem is that at least from a biological perspective, emotions are not special. They are not unique. They are not different from other cognitive abilities. It's a bit like what happened to horses in the Industrial Revolution. That why were horses replaced by cars? There are a million things that a horse can do and that no car can do. Horses can feel joy, horses can feel sadness, horses can feel pain, horses can feel love. No car can do that. But we don't need these things from cars. The 3 or 4 things we do need from vehicles, cars do better than horses, and this is why they were replaced. What we are actually talking about here is the decoupling of intelligence from consciousness. Many people, especially in the business of creating artificial intelligence, they tend to confuse intelligence and consciousness, which is understandable because in human beings, the two go together. But there are very different things. Intelligence basically is the ability to solve things, to solve problems, whereas consciousness is having subjective experiences, feeling something. Now, over the last 60, 70, 80 years, there have been an immense progress in computer intelligence. There has been exactly 0 development in computer consciousness. The big problem is that as long as consciousness and intelligence went together, which was the case in humans for millions of years, debating the relationship between them And the relative importance was an exercise for philosophers, but had very little practical implications. Now, when we see the decoupling of intelligence from consciousness, there is a big practical question of which is more important. Disconcerting fact is that for the system, for the economic system, for the military system, only intelligence matters. They cared about consciousness only because they needed it as a kind of substratum for intelligence. But if they can have intelligence without consciousness, they don't really care about it.